Are you ready, everyone? I, Aurora, will be your host because it's time for the Battleground report of Battlegrounds 25, a special battleground where each contestant's deck was spun on the Wheel of Doom trademark. As always, we'll be taking a look at the top players in this casual competition, what they played and how they fared in the lead up to the finals. But first, we must address the fallen competitors. 23 players entered Battlegrounds 25, and the 19 who did not emerge in Top Cut were playing Ascending Fire, Dawn and Ruin, Skyraptor, Dino Exorcist, Carved Eyes, Diabolition, Varagon, Evernight, Giga Havoc, Elusive Power, Mind Macabre, Azathaean, Submersion, Shikai, Boa Stoic, Dusk Brigade, Endless Sands, DMG, and Gloomglow. Before we get into the top 4, however, we must recognise those who only just lost out on the Top Cut. In 8th was Gator on Shikai. A ritual deck that has a strong focus on flipping monsters, Gator was able to pilot the deck to multiple strong victories, thanks to Gishikai Taitema's Ursula's non-once per turn removal effect. In 7th was Lyris, playing Varagon. A second ritual deck, though this one focused on attributes, Varagon aims to control the board with a combination of its strong Varagon ritual monsters and the equally powerful Varagon attunement spells and traps. Dome was in 6th, playing Elusive Power. This deck did what Runic does, but did it first, instead searching Rawa, the Elusive Whisperer, as the shared effect between its spells, and then having second effects if you control him. Finally, in 5th was the awkward one, playing Boa Stoic. This deck has a defense position focus, but it operates as an aggro deck, being able to attack from defense position with gargantuan stats boosted by the deck's variety of fusion monsters. The finisher in 4th place was Sok, playing Tacticore. This deck focuses on two things, tributing and spot negation and removal. The big Tacticore main deck monsters have the ability to facilitate both of these on summon, tributing a Tacticore from hand or field to either flip a monster face down or negate its effect if it's a link monster. Sok played this alongside a heavy suite of archetypal and generic back row, as well as eschewing a more extra deck focused build by including Pot of Extravagance. Round 1 was a victory over Ascending Fire, then round 2 a win against the 3rd place finisher. Round 3 was his first loss, this one against Elusive Power, though he picked it back up in rounds 4 and 5, beating Carved Eyes and Evernight subsequently. Top Cut was not kind, however, as he was placed against the eventual winner of the tournament in the semis and fell into 4th. The 3rd place finisher was Batubara, playing Rev Strider. Rev Strider is a classic custom deck, with a strong emphasis on banishing cards. It also has excellent power in its synchro summoning and battle phase focus, often having the ability to bring a game to its end very quickly. To further this aim, Batubara's list played a pair of limiter removals, though he never drew them. Round 1 was a won over Dino Exorcist, though round 2 was the aforementioned loss against Sok's Tacticore. Round 3 was a void for Batubara, though round 4 found good footing in a victory over Varagon. Round 5 brought him into Top Cut with a win against Dawn and Ruin, though the semi-finals were lost and he ended in 3rd overall. The 2nd place finisher was Ani on Drowned Locker. Yet another ritual deck, though this one takes it to the extreme with only one non-ritual archetypal monster. It has a similar bleeding effect to Runic, able to banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck and control the board with huge bodies with strong protection. Due to the low number of monsters in the main deck that are normal summonable, Ani used normal summons like Gozuki and Samurai Skull, and utilised the extra deck not for Pot of Extravagance, but for dogmatic punishment targets. Round 1 was a win over Varagon, and round 2 another against Boa Stoic, and round 3 yet another against Carved Eyes. Round 4 was once again a victory, this one against Elusive Power, though round 5 was a fateful loss against the tournament's eventual winner. After beating Rev Strider in the semis, the finals were lost for Ani, and she ended in 2nd. Our 1st place finisher for the Wheel of Doom Battlegrounds this time was Fizzy Izzy and Heroic Meowly, playing Simulacra. A relatively new deck, Simulacra is an invoked adjacent deck like Raycore, making use of the many different attributes to access archetypal fusions with strong effects. Meowly chose to play the deck pure, running hand traps to fulfill the attribute link requirements for the archetype. Drollon Lockbird for wind, Mitori Geico for water, and Ghostbell and Haunted Mansion for earth, alongside the more common sites of Didi Crow, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and Effect Veiler for the others. As per usual, everywhere that Meowly went, there was carnage. Rounds 1 through 5 were a clean sweep against, in order, Azathaean, Submersion, Dawn and Ruin, Evernight, and Drowned Locker, only dropping a single game against Evernight. he would only drop one more game the rest of the tournament, during a 2-1 victory against Sox Tactical in the semis, before beating Ani for the title in the finals. Let's take a look at that match. Okay, so this is the finals match between Ani on Drowned Locker and Meowly on Simulacra. I'm expecting to see a complete Simulacra sweep, since Simulacra is quite a particularly strong deck. But we shall see. We shall see how Drowned Locker fares against it. And looking at this opening, it seems we have some pretty strong cards in the open for Ani. And she is going first, which I'm assuming she will be doing both turns. However, I have just realized something, and that is that Meowly has opened a Droll and Lockbird. So this could be a slight issue. Ani's going to start with Drowned Locker Navigator, whose effect will allow it to discard itself and send a Drowned Locker spell or trap from the deck to the graveyard. However, that will be responded to by the Ash Blossom and Joy of Spring, followed by a Foolish Burial Goods. This card will be sending from the deck to the graveyard, probably the continuous trap. I don't see it. Oh no, it's going to be the regular spell, the normal spell. During the main phase, if this card's in the grave, you can activate this effect. Also, you can discard a card, send a Drowned Locker from deck to grave, or if you discarded a card when you activated this effect, you can send 2 cards instead. That's right, Drowned Locker is a ritual deck that uses the graveyard almost entirely. Anyway, Annie's going to now start by using Preparation of Rites, adding Drowned Locker Keel Hauler from the deck to the hand, and not adding any ritual spell from the grave to the hand since we do not have one. This will be followed by a Droll and Lockbird, essentially cutting off quite a few of these effects. Actually, I don't know. Does that lock off Grave Lily from drawing? Possibly, I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going to be using Davy's Drowned Locker now, discarding 1 Drowned Locker card from the hand and sending 2 Drowned Locker cards from the deck to the graveyard. This is going to be Drowned Locker Reanimation and Drowned Locker's Unfortunate Fate, the ritual spell and the trap card. I have no idea what any of these cards do, and so we are going to learn as we go along. Keel Hauler's effect is going to activate in the hand, discarding it to send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard. We're going to see... Ooh, Algor Mazera is potentially useful. I don't remember exactly what that card does. Maybe it does something in the graveyard. We're going to go for Drowned Locker Reanimation's effect, the trap card, which is going to special summon a pair... Ooh, a lot of Drowned Locker tokens. What does this card do? Hold on. During the main or either player's battle, if this card's in the grave, you can activate this effect, special summon Drowned Locker tokens up to the number of Drowned Locker monsters with different names in your grave plus 1. And since we have 3 in the grave, we get to summon 4. Okay. Okay, I see it. I see it. Oh, and then we put this on the bottom of the deck. Okay, I see. Next, we're going to go for Unfortunate Fate, which is our ritual spell, of course, which is going to allow us to tribute a Drowned Locker. Tribute the... Oh, does this ritual summon from the graveyard? That's not a once... Ah! That's really cool. Okay. So we're going to be able to ritual summon from the graveyard with the effect of Unfortunate Fate, tributing a token to summon Keel Hauler from the deck. Or from the graveyard, sorry. We're then going to do the same thing for Navigator, and then do the same thing again for the final one, which is going to be the Grave Lily. I think... I mean, you can summon another token with Grave Lily's effect. Yep, just to put up a little bit of a defense, since we can't use these as material. Keel Hauler's effect is going to banish a card from Meowly's graveyard and then banish the top 2 cards of Meowly's deck. But joke's on you, Annie. Simulacra actually likes having its cards banished. Not those cards banished. It likes having monsters banished. Annie's then going to end by setting a copy of Dogmatic Banishment, and that is going to be the end of the turn, since I think she's locked, so I don't think she can actually overlay 2 of these to summon something like a Baguska. Anyway, Meowly's going to begin, and whoa, that's a bit of a hand. That's a bit of an open. Having Simulacra Reality Substrings, being able to summon a Simulacrum from the deck is very strong, because Simulacrum Core is a very strong card. Going to start off by going Simulacra Reality Substrings and using its effect in order to summon the Simulacrum Core. Simulacrum Core's effect is going to activate. And yes, Arnie, you do chain punishment here. Yes, you do. Okay, good. We're going to go punishment, targeting the Simulacrum Core, sending from the extra deck to the graveyard a copy of Fossil Warrior Skull Knight and popping the Simulacrum Core. I really feel like popping the... sending a Antis and popping the substrings would have been a better idea. since this will still be able to fusion summon. But, you know, it's all up to whatever Annie wants to do. A wind monster will be banished from either player's deck, but only Meowly has a card to banish. Unfortunately, that means that Core cannot resolve, since it has to use itself on the field to fusion summon with its effect. So that's going to lock off that. However, we do have the Simulacrum spells and traps, which are very strong. Simulacrum Uncanny Eye will send a Simulacrum Core from the hand or deck to the graveyard. Since we're sending it from the deck, we'll be able to banish a card from either graveyard, which is going to allow us to banish something from Arnie's graveyard most likely. And then we get to fusion summon a monster with a different attribute to a Simulacra monster that we then send from the extra deck to the graveyard. This card does a lot. We send a Hexahedrus, which is a dark monster. We banish from the graveyard Algal Mazera. It's banished. Oh, shuffled it into the deck. Why is it shuffling? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we're banishing Drowned Locker, and then we're fusing the Simulacrum Core with the what's it called? Wait, hold on. Where's the monster you fused? Using monsters from your hand, ancestral shuffling monsters from either graveyard into the deck as material. Shuffle one of these cores back, Meowly. Oh, for goodness sakes. Yeah, so let's just assume one of these cores is back in the deck, because it should be. That's then going to allow us to summon Triceratops. Unfortunately, the only card we can summon, because it's actually a relatively bad card, because we only have Earths in Arnie's graveyard. We're then going to follow this up by going for a Hypnotic Mirage, declaring it a dark, and sending a Simulacrum monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, which is going to be the Quintessence, the light monster, special summoning a token, and then fusing with that, banishing that token and a monster from our graveyard, which is going to be a Simulacrum Core. So the other one is in the deck now, Meowly, to summon the Simulacrum Hexahedrus, which is a Trident on the field. I believe Triceratops is just a bit of what's it called, protection. Next is going to be an activation of Simulacrum Subspace Bubble, which will be able to send a Simulacrum monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, banish a Simulacrum Core from the deck, or since we already have one that's banished, we could, oh no, we could have made our opponent banish 2 cards from their extra deck. We are going to be sending Morin Orthopod to the graveyard, and then returning a Simulacrum Core and Droll and Lockbird to the... Oh my goodness, Meowly, read your cards! Okay, so now in addition to this Simulacrum Core being supposed to be back in the deck, oh my goodness. See, what these Simulacrum spells and traps do is they do something, right? Then they have an effect to fusion summon after sending a Simulacra fusion monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. The monster that they fusion summon is of a different attribute to the card they sent to the graveyard from the extra deck. Meowly here has sent a Morin Orthopod and summoned a Morin Orthopod, which is impossible. So we are going to quickly ignore everything that is going on here. Nothing is happening. My Virgin Eyes, Judge, he cheating! He cheating! He chats! Meowly's going to set the Hypnotic Mirage that's added back to the hand with the effect of the Morin Orthopod. Shouldn't this have... What? Okay. Okay, so we didn't actually ever activate the one in the graveyard. Everything that's going on currently is completely fine to go on. The only issue is that we do not currently have another Morin Orthopod in the graveyard. So we are currently down in the graveyard a Core and a Morin Orthopod, and the Morin Orthopod should be replaced with a different fusion. We're then going to go Reality Substrings by banishing Quintessence and Core, and sending this to the graveyard to summon a second summon the Quintessence. We should now have 2 cores banished and 1 in the deck. We're then going to go Quintessence effect to set a spell or trap from the deck. We're going to set the Subspace Bubble, which of course we cannot use this turn, but we will be able to use it next turn. The card we can use this turn is the Hypnotic Mirage that we already had set. Annie's going to begin by activating the effect of Skull Knight, banishing itself to pop a pop a monster on the field by targeting it. Unfortunately, the effect of Triceratops will be able to trigger here, allowing Meowly to change any number of attack position fusions to defense position, give them an extra bit of defense. Yep, their defense are doubled, and they cannot be destroyed by card effects, which means it's going to change. He's going to change all of them, and they are all now 3k assholes. Cheating that literally did not change the course of the game. Obviously, it's still much preferable if people don't cheat, whether accidentally or intentionally, but whatevs. I see that a particular button's been clicked, which means I am not happy. We are instead going to go, terraforming for the substrings, summon a core, and go core for more an orthopod. By banishing the, Dron and Lockbird from the deck. Wait, how do you fuse again? By shuffling monsters into the deck from among each player's banished cards as material. Then why is your Droll still banished? Off this Pot of Prosperity, we're going to add the Infinite Faces of the Simulacra. We're going to normal summon another core and pass a turn. Okay, now it's Annie's turn, and she's going to use the effect of Drowned Locker Eternal Sailor, who can be discarded to add a Drowned Locker card from the deck to the hand with a different name from the cards in the graveyard, which is going to get met by Ash Blossom, I presume. Yep, there goes Ash, and now we're going to activate Foolish Burial Goods. Unfortunately, we cannot summon level 7 or higher monsters thanks to the on-field effect of Simulacra more an Orthopod. So instead, we're going to have to make more plays using our level 4s. We're going to go the effect of Grave Lily by discarding itself and the Unfortunate Fate in order to draw 2 cards. And then we are going to go the effect of Navigator, pitching itself to send a spell or trap from the deck to the graveyard. We're going to see a send here of Drowned Locker Reanimation. We're then going to activate a copy. We're then going to activate Davy Drowned Locker, and that's a fun name. By discarding this Foolish Burial Goods, we are going to be sending from the deck to the graveyard two different cards, the Drowned Locker Swashbuckler and the Drowned Locker Davy Jones. Unfortunately, we can't summon this Davy Jones. What we can do is use the effect in the Oh no, first we're going to go Keel Hauler so we get the most value out of this trap as possible. Sending the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard, and unfortunately none of them are hits. We're now going to activate the effect in the graveyard of Reanimation, which I'm assuming is a full 5 wazoo. I can't imagine we would use extra effects if this wasn't 5 cards. And then Reanimation is going to go back to the bottom of the deck, and then we're going to trigger the effect in the graveyard of Unfortunate Fate in order to Ritual Summon from the graveyard. No, you will... Oh wait, is this just from the hand? It's just from the hand! Played around! We are going to be Ritual Summoning here a copy of Drowned Locker Davy Jones, which I'm assuming is going to be met with a back row here. Yes, Entanglement does get rid of this very quickly. That is unfortunately fine. This may well just spell the end for Annie entirely. By sending a Simulacra monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. What are we sending from the extra? Congratulations to the 4 top cut duelists, and congratulations further to everyone who participated. These tournaments aren't possible without you, so it's wonderful to see so many people taking part. If you want to be a part of the next EXU Battleground, make sure you check out the Discord link in the description. As always, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, tell us what you thought down in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more custom card content. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we upload. That's all from me for this Battlegrounds report. Report closed.